and there's a torta place. I think I'm going to have to do both. You know what? I've had a day, and I'm going to do all of that. I'm going to go to the thrift store, and I'm going to go get a torta. I'm almost to where I'm going, so my anxiety is pretty high because I'm going for an assessment at a children's genetics clinic, because it's something that normally is caught when a person is a child, and it's called Ehler's Danlos connective tissue disorder. And I know exactly where I'm going because I'm starting to feel like I live in this particular it's like a medical shopping mall, if you will. There's just all kinds of things over in this medical area, and I am starting to even know and understand the patterns on the elevators throughout these buildings. So there's that. My daughter got diagnosed with this a few months ago, and we've learned a lot. But whenever I've talked about it with medical people, they start doing the gaslight thing. It's just, oh man, my spot. Somebody took my spot. That's my favorite part. Oh Lordy, I'm going to be walking. And it's cold. It's not that cold, but it's 35 Fahrenheit, which is, I don't know what the heck that is in Celsius. But, so, okay, what is the heck is Ehlers-Danlos? It's a connective tissue disorder, and I know I look goofy in my hat, but keep my head warm. I don't have to wear so many layers on my... Anyway, so it's connective tissue disorder, and I don't know if I have it or not. I don't know, but my kid got diagnosed, and she also has a heart valve issue, and this is one of those things. It would have been nice if they had explained this stuff to me. There's a lot of these things that are serious, like you just die of heart failure. My mom just died in her sleep, and a lot of so the gaslighting part was like, one doctor was like, oh, I don't know how you learned about this, but it's so rare. And I said, it's not rare, it's just rare that doctors will listen to us that at least are hypermobile. And he said, well, no, because then you just drop dead. You don't want this. And I'm like, that's you could say that to all kinds of people. You could say that somebody with cancer.
Well, you don't want cancer because it'll kill you.
So that's how my mom died. And he was like, you don't know that she had that. And you don't really know anybody with it. Like, my daughter was diagnosed last month. He's like, your daughter was diagnosed? Like, where? And they do this to me all the time. And then even with my ankle hurting all the time, they sent me to bone and joint. I said, it's not a bone and joint issue. And they're like, well, you won't know that without an x-ray. Okay, so then they figured out, oh, this is classic Achilles tendonitis, which people that are hypermobile tend to get these types of tendon issues like I get a lot. Like, I feel like I should be in physical therapy a lot. It's already looking like my kid is going to have to be in some kind of physical therapy all the time. Same thing with me, the way that I walk. And them saying, it's just my brain is just doing gymnastics, because physical therapy, they're like, walk. And I said, well, it doesn't hurt as long as I don't have to walk on it. If I can just, walk this way, I'm fine. And they're like, no, walk normal. Well, normal compared to what? I try to walk the way they want me to and have my heel on the ground. I walk on my toes. But it's a thing that I don't want it to hurt when I walk. So my tendons are all messed up. What my kid deals with is so much worse than mine. But I was indoctrinated in my brain, not saying that I hurt. And anytime I said, I don't feel good because you're being lazy, try harder, blah, blah, blah. And I have degenerative disc disease, and I have carpal tunnel, and I'm hyperbendy-flexy, and I have chronic pain, and I can't take any medications for anything because my body rejects everything. Even just knowing that my kid had it made me angry. I'm about to go outside again. I don't want to have to put on a jacket because I'm immature like that. But with my kid, all the times that people talked me into pushing my kid to the point of just... I'm about to go find out about myself, though. Shoots me. Okay, so... I just got diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos hypermobility. And, I'm glad to know it and everything, but it's just one of those things, again, where I'm just like, of all the things I kept going to the doctor for, over and over and over and over. So I have to go think about this. I'm going to go sit somewhere and think. Yeah. My brain is just going and going. So I don't like recording when I'm driving, but I have nobody to talk to, so I'm just going to do it and keep it or trash it. I don't know. We're talking about all this other stuff he wants me to go get tested for. And we'll do the next thing and the next thing. Because I have to do the heart test thing too. Because my daughter has it. There's a thrift store by this clinic that I have to go to. This physician, what is it called? A physician, what is it? Facility? A therapy site? There's this thrift store right by there. And there's a torta place. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do both. You know what? I've had a day and I'm going to do all of that. I'm going to go to the thrift store and I'm going to go get a torta. So sometimes when things happen, I escape into my safe food and my safe rituals, and one of them is getting a torta, and that was right after physical therapy, so I was exhausted. It's an hour, and it hurts. It makes everything else hurt, and so I escaped for a few days, and I've had some time to think about it. And these are my thoughts on this. And these are my thoughts on being diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos. And then after this, I'm probably not going to talk about it too much. This is going to be my video about this. There is a lot of great unmanipulated information about Ehlers-Danlos, whether you call it disorder or connective tissue disorder or hypermobility syndrome, or there's all these terms. It's all really good information. I didn't find anything that steered me astray. I didn't know which of these to trust, but when I was being assessed, we talked about all of these topics I saw on the videos on YouTube. And because of that, I felt prepared and I felt listened to. I've had a few days to tap into what I call my tool bag, my resources, my way that I stay. Mental clarity is very, very important, especially when you become diagnosed with something like Ehlers-Danlos. And so in my tool bag, so to speak, is mind, body, soul. So I have to check each of those areas. And because I know I'm being bothered by something now. And I'm like, well, what is this? How do I get through it? I don't know what that looks like in the moment. Maybe I just got some weird news. It might be for me that I let myself go to the thrift store, go get a torta, take the other half home, and watch ReviewBrah. I'm convinced he also has Ehlers-Danlos, but that's none of my business. But what my point is that sometimes that's where I have to find my safe place to disconnect, because I might not have a human being anywhere that gets it. So I have to get to that mind, body, soul place for me. I know I'm sounding like such a hippie right now, but this is how serious I have to get through these things. I'm from the 80s. We had our arms pulled out from the sockets. We were picked up and yanked and beat and spanked. What do I put my energy in? And if I'm going to put it in getting depressed and dwelling in my childhood trauma of getting yanked around with a connective tissue disorder, one of the things I'm trying to not get hung up on, and this is just my truth, is that if you Google this, it says that this is a rare genetic disorder. Rare, so rare. I've met so many people already that have it, including my daughter who's diagnosed. And people reaching out to me through Facebook just when I mentioned it. So many people have it. It is just rare that you have any doctors that are willing to learn about it. There's so few and far between. Even people that have heard of it will still suggest some kind of correction on something that causes horrible lifelong problems like lingual nerve damage. That video I did on that, it's one of my videos that does have commercials. I'm sorry, but I'm leaving it up because it has helped so many people. That for those of us with Ehlers-Danlos disorder, I don't think we need to be getting our wisdom teeth removed when we're in our 40s. There's just a lot of things that now we are the people that have lots of injuries, lots of tendonitis issues, carpal tunnel. So you're assigned this life of chronic pain, and there's nothing you can do, and people will tell you. What was the thing they always told me? Tough titty. I'm trying to let myself go through these memories as they happen and then say, okay, let's sit down with this information and how do we not get stuck here. I'm giving answers when I pray about these things. This is how I pray. The reality for me is it has always been hard for me to have boundaries with people. But it's very hard for me to have boundaries with people who have no clue what I'm going through. And so that's what I'm learning. When I go to the doctor, I don't tell them about, if I'm there for a thing, I focus on that. I'm not even filling out all that stuff anymore like I used to. It's been like this my entire life. You got to let me get through it, and then hopefully I can share something helpful and insightful for others. So I'm gonna leave you with this thought if you're wondering if this is something that you relate to. So this is what happened to me. Besides that, my back goes out a lot. But the most recent thing was I'm in physical therapy for my left leg. I walk with my foot facing the wrong direction. I had been catastrophizing that I was not going to be able to walk anymore. I was like, okay, in this rate, 2 years, I'm in a wheelchair. And I was just giving up. And somehow I was so blessed that I got pulled through it, somehow ping-ponged around, ended up in physical therapy, and ended up getting the Ehler's Danlos diagnosis myself so I can understand a little bit more. But I have to be empowered with as much of my own knowledge because they're still going to tell me wrong because people don't get it. They don't know about it. Ever had to catastrophize something that was a pain that was coming up? Is I'm about to throw my back out, or I'm going to be not able to walk or drive or whatever. And this, I think, might be a little bit on the common side because you never know when your body is just done. But you feel like it's just around the corner, and you don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that. But it just keeps coming on. Well, up against the way societal norms are with the medical field, it feels like I'm on my own. Popping in like a week later, and I keep re-editing this video, and my heater is on in the background. Sorry, it's cold outside, and I'm going to keep that heater on. Sorry that it makes a noise. But there's so many things I've been thinking about this week. I'm like, oh, that's Ehler's Danlos. Like, yes, my lisp it got like back of the tongue lisp, and it sounds like I'm intoxicated a lot, and it's really frustrating because I don't drink alcohol. But anyway, the damage from the wisdom teeth thing is so intense because of the Ehler's Danlos. So that's one of those things. It's like I keep thinking about it, and I think about when I used to do things with groups of people where you'd hold hands at the end and pray. I would have to say to the men, do not squeeze my hand. Do not squeeze. If I'm just like two big men on each side of me, I would have to say, listen, boys, don't you squeeze my hands. And when all kinds of people would do it, but it would hurt, and it made it sound like I was being really weird, like, because sometimes people would be like, why would I squeeze your hand? But I have teeny tiny little hands. My ring finger is a 3 1/4, so think about that. And even my ring is a 3 1/4, still spinning around in circles on my finger. So, like, also speaking of my hands, it makes me understand now why I constantly drop things and let go of things. Things hurt. It's so weird now that I know what this is. It's like every little leftover empty box, loose ends flapping around, and I would be curious about, or things I would try to ignore, things I try to, like, just tough my way through. All those little boxes I didn't even know existed if there was a box, but there was a box, and now there's a check, and it's like all the loose ends. After everything I've been through the past couple of years, this is like the thing that just kind of fills in all the leftover gaps. Like another one, like my tattoo that bled, it's like, can you see the green ink? It just spread. I mean, that's green ink goes all the way up to my arm. Like, I can't risk that. There's so many things I'm just like, oh, that's Ehler's Danlos. I'm always cracking and popping everything and wiggling around, and I couldn't sit still whenever I would try to go someplace where I had to sit, especially next to people. I rock and I move around, but here's my truth, is I rock and I move around because my joints and everything just feels agitated, and at least if I'm moving, there's something, I don't know what, it relieves it, which has me thinking too, I'm not allowed to jog anymore, but hey, I can learn about mindful walking. I'm sure that's a thing. But this is also why, like, there's times where I do these music videos, I just do them for fun, but I want to be able to dance and move around to things, but you probably won't see that out of me too much. I might make the camera do things. Sometimes you see me spin around, I fast play that, I just move really slow. You'll notice my hair doesn't go too far out. I just speed up the footage so that it makes it look like I'm spinning fast. But all of that, I just keep going, oh, that's what that is. Like, oh my God. I can't help but wonder if it's why I crave, like, the crunchy stuff in meat. I like the gristle. But anyway, just things I was thinking about this week. Just like, that's what that is. That's it. That's it. Yeah. And so this was Ehler's Danlos story. And other than that, there's a lot. I can't believe this. I'm in my 40s. I'm just now learning. Be blessed, be a blessing, blessed be, stay golden, all that jazz. My neck out numerous times. I've rolled my ankles, both of them. I've broken all the knuckles off of my right hand. Get over it, tough titty. Oh, your ankle hurts when you run. Oh, your knee. Oh, you can't breathe. Oh, tough titty, run. And I'm in a place where I'm going to have to work through this. But I'm wondering how much mental damage I've done to myself, or this been, whether done to me or done to myself. Because when you're not allowed to say that pain is pain, so you have to be your own advocate, take notes, have your own manual, for crying out loud, if you have to have your own little manual. Get you a little blank book and start making the manual of you. That's what I'm doing. This is part of it right here. And I didn't have any clue what I was going through because I was only in communication about my needs with people that didn't allow me to have boundaries. except for my thumb. I've broken all these knuckles off.